Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. We want to cover the daily chart today because not too much is happening. Bitcoin has been in a very tight range over the last 24 hours. My last video, it looked like we were going up a little bit, but not much has happened. We are still in the range. Yeah, I showed you a channel. We haven't even broken out of this channel. So just wanted to cover the daily chart for everybody who hasn't seen it before. We get new viewers all the time. And we're looking at the Elliott Wave analysis here on the daily. I am not using the log chart for Elliott Wave analysis. It has various reasons I covered before. I believe Elliott Wave analysis should be done on the linear chart, if possible. Might be a bit different for very long-term charts, but usually my view is the place where all the price generation happens, sentiment, that's all on the linear chart. And that's exactly what the Elliott Waves measure. Therefore, in my opinion, the log chart unnaturally distorts wave relationships. I did mention that many times before, but still get questions about it. And of course, there are different opinions among Elliott Wave analysts. Therefore, there isn't really a right or wrong, only different opinions. Yeah, you can be successful with both, but the fact is that if you analyze the long-term chart for Bitcoin, you come to different conclusions if you use the linear chart or the log chart. Okay, so we look at the but still they might still lead to similar results. Yeah, I'm following the log chart as well. It just I just don't like it, and I believe it can distort the relationships of waves. But in the end, they can lead to similar results. And my view here on the linear chart is that this is a 1-2 setup. This is a 1-2 setup, and Bitcoin is now creating its third 1-2 setup, which means all these waves should get the waves 3, 4, and 5. And that is completely normal, especially on a higher degree count, especially on a young asset. We looked at it like months ago on the Apple chart. Apple looks very similar in the early days, and young assets do that. They go up, they crash down again, they go up, they crash down again, they go up, they crash down. And as long as they make a series of higher lows, even though you basically retrace like 80, 85, 90%, that's fine. That's completely normal for young assets. And why? Because they need it. They need the foundation. Yeah, for example, if they create a 1-2 setup and another 1-2 setup and another 1-2 setup, as I said, these require their wave 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 for these 3 setups. And if we get another setup, we also need another set of waves 3, 4, and 5. And that will lead eventually to a situation where we get wave 3, 4, 5. That completes a higher degree wave 3, another 4, 5. And it will cascade like that at some point, and then it goes up and up and up. And that is exactly what we need. I mean, I think I talked about it before. Apple, had Apple not done numerous what do they do? Stock splits. Yeah. The price today would be something around, I think, $20,000 to $30,000 per stock. So that's just an explanation about what these 1-2 setups can do. They are very important. So, and if we now dive into the just sort of the lower degree wave count here, the specifics. Oops. So we look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin did go up in a wave 1, obviously. That's the latest 1-2 setup there. That was in April 21. We came down in the wave A. That's part of a correction. A 3-wave structure, that is. You can count that very nicely as a 3-wave move. And the wave B to the upside here as well. You can count that very clearly as a 3-wave move. Therefore, this is, in my opinion, not, as some Elliott Wave analysts put it on their log chart, this is not a wave 5. This is, in my opinion, a B wave. And we then have come down in the C wave, or we are currently coming down in a C wave. C wave consists of 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in the 5th wave. In this 5th wave, let's zoom in. In this 5th wave, we call this an ending diagonal. This is a wave pattern that appears currently all over the crypto space. You hear me talk about diagonal patterns pretty much in every video. That just has to do with the situation in which we currently are. It has to do with the fact that we are sort of towards the end of this bear market. I mean, yes, we can probably drop still another 20, 30, maybe even more %, but still we are comparing to where we come from, we are towards the end of the entire bear market, and it means we are closer to the low than, we're closer to the, let's say, we're closer to zero than we are to the all-time high. And that is when the selling pressure reduces a bit, but the buyers aren't strong enough yet to push it to the upside. It's a completely messy structure, but that leads to this up and down, because the buyers step in already, but the sellers are still too strong. We get these ugly ups and downs, and the moves to the downside in here, they are not ideal, and the movements to the upside are not strong enough yet to push it to the upside. So it's getting more balanced between buyers and sellers, and that's a very, very important aspect, that you can read that and understand that. And that happens in so-called diagonal patterns. Of course, there are diagonal patterns that go to the upside and diagonal patterns that go to the downside. Everybody who's not familiar with Elliott Wave might know this either as a channel, so diagonals happen in channels, or here in a so-called wedge pattern. So in this wedge pattern, then in this wave 5, which should be the last wave of this bear market, we have the situation that we have an ABC, and in this ABC we have 5 waves. So in the C wave, 5 waves: wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. We're currently in the 4th wave, in my opinion, and this should be a wave 5 to the downside. The only question is, how high does this wave 4 actually go? And that's the uncertainty that we have here on the lower time frames at the moment with Bitcoin. I'm still looking at one more low. The higher degree scenario is not affected by this, but short term there is a bit of uncertainty. Do we push a bit higher here, maybe against the 19K resistance area of this wedge, or do we go down straight away? Different opinions. In the end, the market needs to tell us. So let's go to the 1 hour chart. And here in this 1 hour chart, we can see the lower level structure. We can see wave 4 is still ongoing. That's, in my opinion, the wave in which we already are. And we're going to come down in wave 5 next afterwards, and into the region between, let's say, 14 to 14.5K would be my primary expectation. But I also need to explain that this is not a given. We could drop lower. We just need to see how we are reacting to the 14 to 14.5K range. It also depends on, at the moment, do we go down straight away, which would most likely lead to a lower price than 14K, or do we go up first a little bit higher in this 4th wave that I explained, and will then come down. Then we might really reach that 14 to 14.5K range. It just means if the wave 4 gets a bit higher, wave 5 will not have a chance to come down that low, most likely. Okay, so what happens here on the lower level time frame? So my view is, as I explained, we are in this wave 4. The wave 4, ideally ABC, in green. We've got the ABC pattern here. And in the C wave, we've got a possibility of having a 5 wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one interpretation. In that scenario, we would now move up. After we reversed in this red support zone, we would now move up in 5 waves. That's one interpretation. We don't know that yet, but certainly we are seeing the initial bounce that we expected from this area, so that all works out at the moment. We have another scenario where we have an ABC count only. That might not be that bullish, but also should move up in 5 waves from here. So that is just embedded in a different higher level scenario. I can't show you everything because it would make the videos too long and would confuse everybody. But I'll try to tell you what you need to know to be able to understand the next moves. And so, but they move very much together. So the red count, the green count, they are basically the same in the very short term. And then, however, we've got one bearish scenario where we came down here in a wave 1. That's the blue count. We're now moving up in a wave 2. Coming down in 3, moving up in 4, coming down in 5. And that might take us, if we don't make a new high before coming down, it would send us down directly, obviously, and it may send us down, below 14K. That would be the bearish option. But in the very, very short term, they move together, all of these, because I don't think the bounce is over yet. So in the bearish scenario, this wave 2 has probably not maxed out yet. It hasn't reached the ideal retracements. And also here wave 5 and C should go higher. So in each scenario, I still expect further upside. The same way that I told you when we came down here, that in each scenario, I expect a bounce from the red support area. So that's also working out. Sometimes these scenarios have confluence, they work together, they run together. And you don't really need to bother about the difference in the short term if all of them point to the upside. Okay. So what do we have here? Here we've got now that is the very, very short term, the very short term. Here we have the possibility that obviously we had the bounce, we completed the 5-wave move down, that's fine, that's given, yeah, we talked about that. We bounced from the red support area and we're now moving higher here. We moved up in 5 waves in what I believe could be an A wave in that wave 2 in the bearish count. It could also be a wave 1 in the more bullish count. We don't know that yet, yeah, but again, it doesn't really matter in the short term because a wave A and a wave 1, they move together basically. A B wave could also be a wave 2, they also move together, you don't see the difference. And then the next move up should be a C wave or a wave 3. Also here you won't see much difference, it's only what happens afterwards that will make a difference, and I'll keep you aware about that as we go. But at the moment, what's important is here in the very short term that we moved up. We have yesterday seen this small spike to the downside, could be a B wave, could already be finished here, and then we would move up straight away. What we don't know, and that is the uncertainty on the very low time frame. Oops. What we don't know is if this B wave that I've put on here in blue, yeah, in the yellow ABC, if this already was the low. Could be. Since then we've only made higher lows, so it could very well be we're now going up in this C wave, and that should take us to 17.3k. So that would be the next target on the very, very small time frame, 17.3k. I would expect us to get there. Even if we drop outside of this channel to the downside, then I would expect to find support in this white support area, which is between 16,425 and 16,650. This is actually the area, the white area, where you would ideally expect such a B wave to get into. It is the ideal target. Again, markets sometimes do things that are not ideal, so I cannot rule out that the B wave is already in. It's been a very shallow retracement in that case, but it could be. We need to wait for the breakout. I think a breakout of the channel will tell us more. So if we break out to the upside, I would argue we go straight away to 17.3k. If we come down, then I would expect to find support in here and then go up to that 17.3k area. And that's basically where we are. We still need to wait for the breakout. We've been here in a range. I mean, basically, what is it? 190, nearly $200 now. That spike yesterday increased the range a bit, but $200 for, I mean, how long? Wait, when did we start? 20. You could argue that, yeah, for 18 hours now, no, sorry, for probably nearly 30 hours, 40 hours, we've been in a range of $200. Extremely, extremely boring. But the longer such a move normally takes, tight range, yeah, maybe it gets squeezed more and more, the more explosive the next move will be, which would make sense because it should ideally be a C wave into the 17.3k region. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I see with Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.